Hey guys, LV here. Since it's been like 5 million years since the last time I reviewed something, let's just dive right into Amuro Namie's latest studio album, Photogenic. The first track is Photogenic. Right away, this album opens up with a bang. Freaking Photogenic. I love that line. Right away, you get a chance to hear how the instrumental sound, and I will admit for this track, it sounded really good, especially with the guitar riffs within this song. I just love how they implant this groovy atmosphere that's not worth forgetting at all. Yet despite those factors, I would say the main highlight of this song would have to be her English here. They call me photogenic. Freaking photogenic. I just love how she sounds in this track. She just sounds so feisty and full of life, and that's what makes the song very fun. Still, it wasn't as explosive as I would say Alive was on her Feel album, but it definitely set the mood of what to expect for this album, and that right there is what made this a great opener. The next song is Time Has Come. I have mixed feelings for this song. It has nothing to do with the song's opening, of course, because if I really had to be honest here, I rather enjoyed this synthy EDM-ish feel alongside this piano here. I really did like that. Right now, it doesn't really showcase it. The EDM-ish feel of it gradually lessens the more we get into the verses, as you guys can somewhat hear right here, I hope. Which, as a plus, made it much more soothing for me. Yet, that all comes crashing down the moment when we reach the chorus, which doesn't sit well for me at all, if I had to be honest with you guys. I don't know, for me, I just didn't really like the shift of change this chorus suddenly takes, because the beginning of the song was quite good, and for me, it brought down the quality of the song. And not to be mean, but I had a really hard time understanding what she was saying here. I'm not trying to make fun of her English, it just really had to just strain my ears to see what she was saying. Despite that factor there, I can generally say that I did enjoy the energy that the song did bring. I just wasn't really impressed with the overall intensity of it, and that there did ruin it for me, but despite that, I can't say it's a bad song. It's just not really my taste. The next song is Golden Touch. I knew from this title alone that this was going to be a song that would grab my attention. I really don't know what it is. It just has this retro-ish quality to it that breathes more life to it as the song keeps going on. I really thought that the higher pitch that she used within this song was very interesting, since her vocals themselves seem to be highlighting the overall percussion and the brass instruments that you guys can hear right here. And while that isn't much of a vivid description, the higher vocals did drive the song's atmosphere into a much cuter drive. Overall, I found this to be a really good song. There's just something so bright and positive about it, and that really highlights the spirit of Jenna to me. I just love the energy that she's throwing off here. It's like you can literally hear that smile in her voice, and that's what makes it really great to me, especially when you hear, "You got the golden touch. You got the golden touch." It's so catchy. The next song is Birthday. This was a really great follow-up from Golden Touch, and I enjoyed that tremendously. Right from the beginning, you hear those uses of the funky brass line alongside these synthetic beats here that really brought an interesting feel to this album. I will admit her vocal performance isn't doing anything too spectacular, especially during this part. I thought that they sounded the most dull, but that gradually changes the more we get into the song, especially when we reach the chorus right here. I will admit I did really like her vocals right there, because I really like the overall positivity that her vocals does designate. While I don't consider this to be my most favorite song of the album, Photogenic, I do love the overall groove to it, and that there is what makes this song one of my most guilty pleasures, so good job again. I just wanna be it. I just love how this song begins with this playful whistling arrangement. Before you hear Namie here dive right into these bouncy piano lines that are infused within these verses right here. I gotta be honest, I thought her vocal performance was really strong here. It really highlighted the use of the lyrics to me, and I really like how she uses the reference of love to a game of tag. I thought that was really cool. While the song does come off happy and she's singing is happy, I can't help but feel that the song does have a tinge of sadness to it, especially when you listen to the lyrics. If you strip away Namie's happy vocals and actually listen to the song, they do come across as sad. At least that's how I've interpreted them. Because I can't help but feel that everyone, well, maybe not everyone, might feel what these lyrics are saying. Oh my god, I feel like I'm taking the fun vibe away from this song. I do apologize if I am doing that. I tend to overanalyze, and maybe that's what I'm doing in this case. But despite my conflicting thoughts there, I did find this to be a pretty awesome track. It's such a shame that it's under 3 minutes though. It's always the short songs that are such great songs, like Kodakumi's Hey Baby or Hamasaki Ayumi's Ever Free. It's just always the short ones. But I guess in some ways, the shortness of this song really makes it to be one of the highlights of this album, and it's gonna be something that I'll listen to for a long time. The next song is Scream. We're finally coming back to the EDM-ish feel of this album, and while that's not necessarily a bad thing, I just feel that this song doesn't represent it well. Don't get me wrong, the beat itself has a nice drive to it, and Namie does sound good, but the overall tone to it just puts off any nice feelings I might have had for this song. Plus the overuses of the auto-tune here really didn't help me like this song either. It just made the song sound all the more cluttered, which makes it sound much more weaker in my opinion. But despite those negative thoughts here, I will say that the song does momentarily have its moments of strength, especially when Namie belts out, because that's where I feel that's where I can actually hear her voice instead of hearing the auto-tune right here. I hate when good singers use too much auto-tune to cloud their voice. It just sounds just fake. I hate when they do that because we know Namie can sing. You don't need a computer, you can sing. Despite my thoughts there, it's still a good song if you're really into this type of really EDM-ish feel. So I guess in that sense, it does count for something. The next song is Fashionista. This was an odd song to say the least, but that doesn't mean I dislike it. In fact, in some ways, I found this song pretty cool, but there's a lot going on within the structure itself, and that can make it a tad bit overwhelming. Yet despite that, I really thought that she brought it within this song, because I really like how she uses her vocals here to her advantage. They're all over the place, but in a good way. And that right there is what makes me listen to it more and more, because I love what she's doing here. Of course, her English can be a bit distracting at times, but the overall fierceness that she implants here is what always makes me come back to this song. So despite the title being generic and maybe I guess the lyrics a little bit too, I do like the way Namie condones herself in this track. It makes it sound fun even though the topic is a bit overused. The introduction here was quite interesting. I found that her vocals that she used in the beginning here really drew me in, and it was because of that why this became one of my most favorites off this album. Another thing I really liked about this song was the uses of the dubstep that she implanted here, which is quite funny because usually I don't really see myself being as a big fan of dubstep, but I really liked Namie's overall interpretation of it, and I was quite fine with the song heading into this direction. At least that's where I thought it was going to go. But once the song unravels, it smooths out into this up-tempo track here. It definitely became more enjoyable to me the more and more I listened to it, and with so many good factors going on with it, I thought that would be it, but that all becomes void the moment I hear this chorus right here. I love this chorus. I really love the repetitive structure that she used there, because that for me made it quite catchy and original. At least I thought so. Didn't have a clue what she was saying, but as always, I'll give Namie a pass. I suppose in some ways, this song is considered to be one of the more safer sounding songs on this album, but in the end, that really doesn't matter to me because I generally love the energy of this song. I found it way better than the song Scream. I found that a lot of people liked that more than Fly. It really surprised me. I thought this song was a lot more fun than Scream was, but that's my opinion. Overall, a great song that once again highlights this power of Janet quite well. The next track is Be Who I Want to Be featuring HATSUNE MIKU. Yo! Were any of you guys expecting this collaboration? Because I sure as hell wasn't. Out of all the singers Namie could have collaborated with, she decided to go with the element of surprise and choose a Vocaloid. I gotta give her props for that, you guys. Yet putting those feelings aside, I have to be honest here. My reaction toward this song was mostly negative. I remember when I first heard this song, I was just like, what the fuck is this shit? It's not nice, but that's the first thing I thought. However, over time, this song has grown on me. I think one of the main factors that prevented me from liking this song was their vocals, because for this track, their vocals were auto-tuned to the max. But I suppose if I really had to think about it, it's one of the quirks about this song that makes it quite enjoyable. In some ways, I still think of this song as a funny hot mess, yet I suppose if I really had to think about it, that overall attitude that it does have to it, that does make it quite original. I have to be honest there. The next song is Stranger. While this song was a bit different from what I was expecting, it was one of the more welcoming changes amongst this album. Right away, you guys can tell that the beat here is quite consistent. And I didn't notice it before, but from listening to this song so many times, I love how she blends in a mixture of old and new sounds, with just the right amount of dance used into this R&B instrumental. I thought that was quite unique in this song's case, because that's not something you hear every day, especially within an EDM track. Even though we're not at the official chorus yet, I do love how this song continually collects power, and that's what makes it one of the more entrancing songs songs amongst this album because you don't know where it's going to go. But when the chorus does come, I just love how it transcends into this vivid powerhouse. It entrances me every time I listen to this song. And despite the slayage of the instrumental, the lyrics for this song were quite simple. Yet despite the simplicity there, the vocals that Namie presented here, that slayed me more than anything. Once again with this album, it's a really good song that gets the feet tapping. And the overall uses of tones and pitches that were created here really make this a solid track that's nice on the ears. I like how this song continues with the album's current trend of EDM, but this time around, I noticed that the music here is a bit more simplistic. Not that there's anything wrong with that, of course. I will admit that I didn't notice it in the beginning, because in terms of the album, it still shares its uses of those synthetic beats, but it's not as experimental as the previous tracks were. And I think for that reason, I consider it to be one of my most favorite tracks of this album. The approach that this song takes is absolutely amazing, and I'm well aware that we have skipped past the verses, but I think the verses has to be my most favorite part of this song because they definitely implant this more sassy side, and I love when Namie channels that side to her. But I think the overall tone of it was good too. It does give the song a bit of a more 80s feel, while still sounding like a modern song, which to me was quite interesting in terms of composition. I'm sorry if I'm confusing you guys, it's just this track absolutely slayed me. I really have no idea why so many people dislike this song, because when I was actually reviewing this album and looking for people's reviews on this track, I was surprised to see that so many reactions for this song were negative. But whatever, I'm still gonna gas my booty off to this song, and I can't gas for crap. Next song is Space Invader. Based off the introduction and title alone, I thought this tune was going to head into a more different direction than it showcased it. I suppose in some ways, it does acquire this certain freshness to it, but it just ends up becoming this generic dance track for me. I suppose that way of thinking is rather harsh, but this is just a song that's not quite there for me. It just feels like a random song that was thrown on this album with no purpose whatsoever, and that's what makes it so forgettable to me. We finally reached the soul ballad amongst this album, and I will say that it was a very fitting way to bring this album to a close. I'll admit the sudden appearance of it did strike me as odd, but the shift of direction does come together in the end. I'm not sure if you guys can hear it in this video, but I do like those echoing effects that they do put on her voice here, because alongside this acoustic guitar, it makes the song sound so much more intense than it actually is. And I found that they're quite entrancing. And the lyrics to this song are absolutely beautiful, but for some reason, I find myself not listening to the song as much as I should. I can't explain the reason of why. It's just I have to be in the right type of mood to listen to this song. But despite that thought, I will give this song the credit it deserves, because it does show a more vulnerable side to Photogenic that I wasn't expecting to see at all. But just because it wasn't expected doesn't mean that it wasn't a welcome addition to this album. And I'm sure based off the intensity of it, it's going to be a ballad that'll be well loved for years to come. I was surprised to see that we had a bonus track amongst this album, because for Namie, it's usually unheard of. Still, this was another track that represented another side to Photogenic, and I found myself rather liking that. Her English within this piece is phenomenal. Oh my god, the producers. I love the fact that during this song, you can hear that emotional strain within her voice, and it's especially highlighted with this piano note here, and that for me makes it all the more lovely. I'll admit this isn't amongst one of my favorite songs from Namie, but I still consider it to be a beautiful effort, especially the way her vocals are intensified here, because I feel like that there is what keeps the integrity of the song's emotions, and I feel like Namie did a good job here. So while I wasn't really expecting this song in the least, I think Namie did pull off the element of surprise quite well here, and it does show. Overall, the album as a whole is pretty fun, and I love the fact that Namie stamped her mark all throughout this album. That there is what made it interesting to me. The only thing I didn't like about this album was the overall lack of flow to it. I don't know why, but for some reason, everything on this album seemed to be mashed together, and it was kind of weird jumping between genres in such an odd fashion. At least I thought so. Another thing I didn't like, well, maybe not necessarily like, but her English for this album, well, it wasn't necessarily like bad. Most of it I couldn't really understand what she was saying, and that's a shame because I have read the album's lyrics. Some of these lyrics were really strong. It's just sometimes I literally have to strain my ears to even hear just a sentence of what she's saying, and that right there can get a bit of annoying sometimes. I'm not gonna front, it does get a bit of annoying. However, I'm not gonna talk bad about Namie's English because honestly I really can't talk. I know once upon a time my English was bad. I know most of you know that, or maybe some of you, I don't really know, but English isn't my first language, so I fully understand how hard and how challenging English can be. So I'm not going to really talk about Namie's English because I have no right to talk about it, because I, as a foreigner, well, maybe not a foreigner, but as a what's the right word to say? Like, as a borrower, I guess. As a borrower of the English language, I understand how tough English can be. So I'm not gonna go and judge and like criticize every issue of her English, because I know how the struggle of speaking English is. Because while necessarily people always say my English is good, I don't really think so, because I guess you gotta hear me talk and you'll see. But either way, her English while it wasn't exactly spectacular, it did sound a bit better. That's one thing I can say. And I did like the fact that she gave better emotion on the tracks. So her English isn't necessarily utara. It is for the most part satisfying. So here is my edition of Amuro Namie's 12th studio album, Genic. For this copy, I did get the CD plus DVD edition. Originally, I was going to get the CD only edition, mainly because I did like the CD cover a bit better than all of the others. But then again, I was just like, you know what, let's just get the CD DVD edition, because I did like the videos for this album. Despite me rather loving the CD edition cover, it wouldn't have been the same if I didn't get the videos for it. So in the end, I just decided to get this copy. Like I said before, while I do consider the CD only edition's cover the best out of the three, I did like this cover too. I really like this retro look she's doing right here. It's very futuristic and cool. So this is it. The back is pretty much the same. Here's the inside of it. Not sure if you guys can see it, but there's her name right there. And again, I thought that was a cool factor as well. Here's the inside. Again, it's nothing really spectacular, because you guys know when it comes to Namie, she doesn't really go all out. She likes everything simple. So here's the official cover page for the album. It's not Namie's best look, but I do like that cover. As usual with Namie, there's not a lot of pictures, but the pictures that she does have really do stand out. So I'll come to them right now. That has to be my favorite picture out of the whole Genic photo shoot. She just looks so edgy right there. I love it. And I guess that's it. Like I said before, this was a really good album. Ultimately, I am satisfied with the overall content of this album, despite the flaws that I stated already. I still thought that Genic was a solid album that represents the utter best of Amuro Namie, and it is something that I feel everyone should pick up. So that was my review for Amuro Namie's 12th studio album, Genic. I do hope that every Amuro Namie fan enjoyed what I had to say about this album, because I was really digging this album, and I do think that this album has a chance to break into the international market because it is so appealing, especially to a mass audience. Again, thank you guys for watching this video. Like I always say with my videos, if anyone has any albums they would like me to review, just leave it in the comments below and I'll be sure to get to it eventually. So until next time, you guys, bye.